Hi friends, I'm Parviz from geekschoolers.com and this is our 14th video in Python programming language. In this video we're going to talk about class variables and also instance variables, or we can say class attributes and instance attributes. So first of all, let's talk about class attributes. Now a class attribute is a Python variable that is owned by a class rather than a particular object. It is shared between all the objects of this class and it is defined outside the initializer method of the class. And an instance attribute is a Python variable belonging to only one object. And this variable is only accessible in the scope of this object. And it is defined inside the init method. Also, instance attributes are unique to each object. Now first let me just create an example and you will know that what I mean. For example, I have a class person in here, so let me just create my class. So this is my class person and this is my initializer method in here, or we can say this is our constructor. Now in here I'm going to create some attributes, for example name and also age. So let me initialize this attribute, so self.name name and self.age age. Okay, now let's create the object of this class or instantiate this class. So in here I'm going to create p1 and person. You need to give, for example, the name, so Geek Scholars, and also you can give an age, for example 20. Now we can print this, so print p1 dot name and print p2 dot name dot age, sorry, p1 dot age. Okay, now let me just create p2, so person, and let me give my name and also the age. And now we can print this, so print p2 dot name and print p2 dot age. So now if I run this, so you can see that this is the name and this is the age, this is the name and this is the age. Now in here, if you see in this section, we have name, we have age. Now these two attributes are called instance attribute because it is inside the init method, and these are unique. So for example, if you see in here, so this attribute is unique to the p1, and also for example name is unique for the p1 object, and also age is unique for the p1 object. And in here we can see that this name is unique to p2 object, and also this age is unique to the p2 object. So we have said that instance attribute is Python variable belonging to only one object. Now this belongs to just one object, and also it is defined inside the init method. If you see, now you can see that we have our name and we have our age inside the init method. Now this is called an instance attribute and it is unique to each object. So this is unique to this object and this is unique to this object. Now let's create class attribute. For example, in here I'm going to create, as I have already said, that a class attribute is a Python variable that is owned by a class rather than a particular object. Now for example, in here I'm going to create an email, so per@gmail.com. Now this is called class attribute because it belongs to a class. So now this email belongs to person class and it's owned by the person class. Now this email is shared between all the objects of this class. So this email can be shared with this p1, can be shared with this p2, with all objects of this class. So let me show you, for example, in here we can say print p1.email, and we can do the same for the p2, so p2.email. And if I run this, so you can see that I am receiving the email for the p1 object, and also for the p object, for the p2 object I'm receiving the same email. Now it means that it's shared, the class attribute is shared between all the objects of that class, and it should be defined outside the initializer method of the class. So now, what are the difference between the class attributes and instance attributes? Now, the main difference is this, that instance attributes are unique to each object. Now, as I have already said, this email and this age is unique to the p1 object, and in here this name and this age is unique to the p2 object. But in class attribute, it's not unique. So if you change the class attribute, it will affect all instances of the class. So for example, if I change this class attribute to, for example, another email address, and now if I run this, you can see that it's changed across all the objects. So it's changed for the p1 object, and it's changed for the p2 object. So thank you guys. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos, subscribe to my channel, like and share the video.